back at Casco Logix today to do a little bit more on the wood project. Let's call it that. So Clint got a new bit, and it is a new V-groove bit. So I'm gonna give this a try and see how it goes. Cooper, how's it gonna go? We're gonna find out, aren't we? Okay, so this is where we left off. Actually, I think since the last video, there's a little bit more detail that was done. Some attempts with a V-bit that didn't quite work out. Yeah, it burnt the tip of that pretty good. So, got that new one. I'm gonna try it out, see how it goes. So after some adjustments and some technical difficulties, here's where we're at. Clint's moving it back to 0. And he's got that new bit in there, and we'll see what happens. Move the cables to where they're going down along the bottom now instead of the top. And since this is just the V-bit that's in there now, I'm not gonna run the shop vac on it. See if how it does. I don't think it's gonna be too bad because it's not like you're cutting out deep. It's just gonna be a V groove so you can see the line. And this is what Clint has done for the cuts. So that's what it's gonna cut with this V-bit. Everything you can see in the blue there will be cut with the V-bit, so you'll notice the outside silhouette isn't there anymore. Just all the innards, so to speak. So after all the adjustments, after the first video, we had some adjustments to make with many things. Simplified the drawing quite a bit, the original artwork, and changed the bit. So we had to zero it back out to where we started from. So you were basically trying, and not only that, but we had changed the whole setup. So we had changed, there was a a board down here across the bottom. And so there were a lot of changes made. And I think Clint probably wanted to scrap this start and start over with a new one. But I kind of convinced him to stick with it because I didn't want to waste it. And I think it came out great. But I also think that we learned a lot on a lot of different things. And so basically the second set of cuts with this new V-bit was kind of overlaying the first ones on the drawing, on the program. So like I showed you, the blue cuts were the cuts that were done today. And you basically had to zero out and make sure you put these cuts in the original silhouette. So, and that doesn't sound hard because you're zeroing it out, but that's still, the zeroing out is a manual process. So if you're off a 16th or an 1/8, you're going to get some stuff that's not going to quite center up, because these first cuts, the headlight, the marker lights on both sides, and the silhouette were all done on that very first shot. Whereas the second shot, everything was kind of sat in between all of that. So that's what accounts for probably some of this stuff. And then the other thing that's accounting for some of this problem is that this is all to the far left side, which means when this is all going on, this chain over here is stretched all the way over, which I think is what caused some of this stuff right here. But this is all stuff that can be finished out and hand routed a little bit, and that's why I didn't really want to waste this one, because I knew it would come out, or at least I thought it would come out really good still, and there's no sense in wasting it because it can do something with it. But I think it came out great. I think there's just, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that we learned from this, and if he so chooses to try it again, maybe we'll throw it right here in the center, so the chains are at equal lengths. It's not struggling so hard to stay centered and stay gathered up, because you gotta realize, I mean, this thing has a lot of weight to it, as it needs, because it's got these, they're particular to hold it down. And the second time on our second cuts, we didn't run the shop vac, and that hose holding onto there, I think gave it a little bit more leverage too to stay down, because you've got a lot of things going on here. You've got these angles of these chains based on the depth here. So there's just a lot of stuff going on, and these chains are pretty long, but they've got to be able to do a cut of an entire 4x8 sheet, because Clint's done some stuff on here where he was cutting an entire, basically a 7-foot plus high project. And so that machine has to be able to move everywhere. And you run into other obstacles. You run into the support beam down at the bottom right there on both sides. So you got hang up problems on that. So if you can get something that's not so large like this and center it, I think you're going to have, and do it all in one shot rather than starting with one and then overlaying with the other like we did, for multiple reasons. But I think this new bit did a lot better job than that first bit that we basically smoked. That's first bit. That's second bit. So it made a world of difference. But I think the biggest thing, all in one shot, cutting out the silhouette last, the outer, the complete outer, cutting that out last so you don't have any flexing of everything in the center. One thing I didn't point out before, there's little tabs here. You can see there's a tab there, and there's I think there's a tab here, so that this all stays in place when it does this complete outside cut. It still all stays in place and doesn't fall and totally screw up all your measurements. So, like I said, a lot learned. Maybe try another one at some point, and I will take this one and probably hand clean and do some routering, maybe just do some cutting out, because I'm not sure what we're going to do with this one, if we're going to backlight it or do something cool and make it into a sign and light up the lights. But more to come on that. Okay, so I'm leaving Casco, and I am so happy with this thing. Check this little dude out. Is that cool or what?